Welcome to the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world, over 12 and a half years strong. This coming April is going to be 13 years. Holy freaking crap. I'm Jeff Warren. I'm here with my good buddy, Eric Leonard. If you're watching on YouTube, better known as Edgecombe Stan.
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. Not a good night for Sixer sports or for Philly sports.
Yeah.
Flyers just lost 5-2.
Yep.
We're hoping Bedard is still healthy.
We need Dan Vladar to be healthy. My God.
Yeah, Vladar. Sorry, Vladar. And Vinny was asking me today, like, when is Forster coming back? Like, what the hell is we need him.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Boy, what a great segue. Great segue, because that's our interview this week is with Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com. And look at your hoodie. You've got gritty on your hoodie, man. You are all in.
Got over here. I know. I was forced at first, but now I am fully enjoying it. Yeah.
This is fantastic. This is great.
We're going to Hershey Bears games, my son and I. Yeah, I know.
Nice. You know what? We had Len on the show last week. It was the first time he was on. I swear to God, I think it was in like 3 or 4 weeks. It was
a while.
It was nice to have him on, but this is our first show here in 2026. So Happy New Year, buddy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Yes. We've talked multiple times since
we have,
text, but it's
exactly
just for the show. Thank you.
It's for the show. It's for the show.
It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Is there a limit on when you can say Happy New Year?
Yes.
When does that end?
Exactly. See, I'm not a bit. I think you could say it more than 3 days after. You can do it more than 3 days after.
Like if you went back to work on the 5th, I think, right? A lot of Happy New Year's floating around.
Absolutely.
But the 6th or 7th, I think, starts to seem weird.
A little, yeah. I had somebody. We're recording this on Wednesday, January 14th. I had somebody actually say Happy New Year to me today, and I was like, I don't know.
I've just been like, I own a calendar.
Yeah,
I'm good. Thank you.
If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're sharing the podcast. If you're listening on whatever podcast platform, just share us with your friends, your family, other Philly sports fans, other sports fans in general, trying to grow this YouTube channel here and just continue to grow the show. Yes, even after 12 and a half years, still growing various ways, but we got a great show this week because we are going to be getting into some Eagles season postmortem, NFL playoff picture stuff as well. We know Kevin Patullo was fired. What's going to be happening with this team in the offseason? Eric and I are going to dive into that. And then we're going to get into the Philadelphia 76ers, not only where they are at during the course of this season. Again, Eric mentioned earlier they really took a crap with the Cleveland Cavaliers this tonight, this Wednesday night, and against the Cavaliers team that's having some issues themselves. But is it possible, folks, that the Philadelphia 76ers could get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Going to reflect on a conversation we had with our good friend Josh Rodriguez on our Opposition Territory pod. He was very convinced that actually could happen. Then from there, we're going to dive into some Phillies talk. Phillies met with Bo Bichette this week. Is that going to be a serious possibility to happen with this team in the offseason? What does that mean for the Phillies in 2026? Then we're going to get into a ton of Flyers talk as well. We got our friend Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com joining us. That's what we're throwing down on the table this week. Let's get into some Eagles talk here, Eric, because the Philadelphia Eagles did what they needed to do. The front office did what it needed to do in firing Kevin Patullo after the most predictable offense that has probably ever played in the NFL, completely fizzling out in the wild card round against the San Francisco 49ers. I am very happy that it happened, but it really just kind of sucked how the season came to an end. And I really don't know, in all the years that we have been Eagles fans, ever since we were kids, I can't remember a season like this, a predictable season, an enraging season. Yet this team was 11-6. Yet this team had 6 games during the regular season where they did not score a touchdown in the second half of a game. Yet they had a winning record. And it was a bizarre feeling of, okay, this team is winning, but it's the same predictable crap. And we knew it was going to come to an end. And I just feel it was one of the most bizarre Eagles seasons that we've ever had to go through as a fan base. I mean, did you kind of feel that too?
I text my brother a bunch about it after they got beat by the 49ers. And I was like, this kind of reminds me of, the late 80s, early 90s with Randall, when Randall Cunningham was just bonkers, insane, great, and could carry a team on his back, right?
But you're right, because that was kind of predictable. It was kind of predictable back then when
it was, but then my brother shot back with, but they weren't as talented offensively. Like you could see even with Randall, because every time Randall went out with an injury, that offense was like basically every game was like 10-7.
Yeah,
that killer defense had to hold it was the only way they could win games. But their offense wasn't even as close as talented as this one. But it is one of those seasons where like you come to the end and like, oh man, if we could have won that one game, we could have beat the Niners if our offense but like by the end of the year, you're like, no, they won some games they shouldn't have. They lost some games they probably shouldn't have, but it doesn't speak to the fact that the offense just completely shut down in the second half.
Yeah.
For almost the entire year. And there was such a pattern when it happened in the playoff game. I remember that I think like end of the third quarter, I texted a bunch of Eagles buddies. I was just like, they're going to lose. Like you could just tell, like, it's so obvious.
Len said it on the post-game show. There were no vibes at all. Like there, usually in the playoffs, the teams that have those strong vibes that you see, whether it's coming out of the tunnel or you see it before they even get to the tunnel, you can tell that did not happen at all with this Eagles team. The sideline body language was just horrible. It was flat, and the vibes weren't there.
I mean, just remember the Eagles team on the sideline during the Super Bowl, just looking confident as hell.
Yeah.
Every defensive player was like, we're killing them. They're all just like kind of full of themselves and smiling, kind of laughing even by the end of the game. And just none of that was happening. And that definitely comes from the top down. And I'm not talking the GM or the owner. I'm like, Sirianni was just not good this year.
Yeah.
I brought it up on the show a bunch this year, just saying like, we were blaming poo-poo holes for everything. But eventually I was like, okay, Sirianni's got to like take some crap here. This is insane. This is his guy. He's still just not taking the offensive play calling from him. And it's like Sirianni did not have a good year. Poo-poo holes had no vibe, no energy. If you watch the footage on Instagram, there are a couple of videos of like the Eagles QB room. And like, there's times where Jalen Hurts is looking at him like, what the hell is this guy? Like it just almost like disrespect to, the coordinator. And I'm, well, that's probably the next topic, right? Is like, what the hell do they do there? Because there's a long list of free agents we'll go through and kind of see who we want to keep. But like the big thing, I do think the offensive coordinator thing was so bad. And it was the one part of the team that just couldn't perform and just fell apart every second half. And it came directly from him, but Sirianni should get a lot of blame.
We had an email come in from one of our longtime listeners, Francis, and he actually titled the subject "Fire Poo-Poo Holes Tonight." And then he wrote, "Don't even let this son of a bitch leave the stadium with his job. We need an offensive coordinator that's been coaching for more than 15 minutes, not some young know-nothing that's just trying to use this as a stepping stone to the next level. The only upside is that we do not have to watch this garbage offense anymore this year." Mike and Merrill were calling out our plays before we broke the huddle, and we're getting them right most of the time. Helen Keller could have fucking been the Niners defensive coordinator. And then he ends, "Thanks for doing the podcast. Go Flyers." So thanks, Francis. Appreciate the email. I mean, that sentiment that he had, I mean, that's what we were all feeling. That's what Eagles Nation was feeling after that game. And now the sigh of relief that Kevin Patullo, this offensive scheme, is no longer going to be around. So where do they go from here? And in my opinion, based on what has been reported, Mike McDaniel, former Dolphins head coach, is at the top of the list. Former Giants head coach Brian Daboll is at the top of the list as well. I got to be honest with you. I like Mike McDaniel. If they can get Mike McDaniel in here as the next Eagles offensive coordinator, it would be a huge change for Jalen Hurts, and I think for the better as well. I'm not a big fan of Elliott Shore-Parks, but he put up a stat today on Twitter that I thought was pretty interesting. The percentage of throws that Tua Tagovailoa had had over the immediate center of the field the past 2 seasons, that was 14%. Jalen Hurts has never been above 7.1% in his career. Tua had 367 attempts from under center in his career under Mike McDaniels. Jalen Hurts has only had 103 attempts under the immediate center of the field. I mean, that's something, and it would be significant, I think, for Jalen Hurts and his continued development as a quarterback. Yeah, even though he's won a Super Bowl, still has to develop, and he still has to get out from under what this horrendous season was for him. I like Mike McDaniels as the next offensive coordinator for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's funny. You and I talked a lot, well, for a while, like 45 minutes for the show, and we both said Mike McDaniel without knowing what the other one was going to say.
Yeah.
I just think we just talked about no vibes. Poo-poo holes had no vibes, like had no presence, no authoritarian kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
This guy comes in just full of juice, and he's younger. I think he could relate to the players a little more, because I didn't see any relating happening whatsoever. There's so much social media now, like you can actually get like I said, like shots into like like OC rooms. And every time I saw him, I was like, did this guy ever coach before?
Yeah.
Because I ask you right now, he got fired. What's his next job?
Yeah. Who knows where he's going to go?
Is someone going to hire him as an offensive coordinator? Of course not.
I can't say it. Maybe he becomes a quarterback coach again somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm just saying, like, isn't that an obvious sign? Like,
yeah,
if you fire a guy and you're just like, I have no clue what that he's going to do next.
Right.
Chances are, yeah.
Right.
But I think Mike McDaniel could relate much better, and he runs a much faster offense. And I wasn't the biggest fan of him either. He made some terrible decisions. I watched a bunch of Dolphins games over the years, and it was like, I not the best, great play caller. Not sure he's the best coach.
Right.
But the offense he ran with Tua at QB, he was a prolific offense for a couple of years there. And to get that offense, he basically had to take his offense, break it, and put it back together so it fit Tua.
Yeah.
Who has to throw the ball over the middle quick because he makes horrible decisions.
And the offensive line has been terrible down there for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kind of created a pretty much kind of the state of the art offense that one year when Tyreek Hill went nuts.
Yeah.
And it was just, based on speed and over the middle and everything. And it's like, if he could do that for a guy who's probably not going to be a starting quarterback next year in the league, what could he do with Jalen Hurts and a good offensive line and 2 awesome weapons on the outside? I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Besides actually, having like a vibe, I guess. Like,
yeah.
I just think immediately people will get excited. They'll get past the sunglasses on, like in the post game shows. But I think he's the perfect fit.
I think he is too. And look, the reality of this Eagles team, as we're looking already towards 2026, is, which free agent players should stay, which players should go. I mean, there's a slew of unrestricted free agents. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a lot of us have seen various lists of players that we like, of course, players that we love, players that we can't stand as well. I can tell you, for me, the few players that I'm hoping the Eagles will be able to keep, one is Reed Blankenship. I really hope they're going to be able to keep Nakobe Dean as well, Jalen Phillips, and believe it or not, yes, punter Braden Mann as well. Hope they can keep Dallas Goedert. I think that needs to be a priority. However, it wouldn't surprise me if Dallas Goedert does walk and they draft a tight end perhaps in the first or second round of the draft. But that's where I'm hoping the Eagles concentrate their efforts in terms of unrestricted free agents. I think Reed Blankenship is like a no-brainer. Braden Mann also is like a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. It's a strong linebacker core, and Jihad Campbell's only going to continue to develop and get better. I can see Nakobe Dean possibly walking as well, maybe even Jalen Phillips, but they're going to have some tough decisions to make for sure, because there are real talented guys here that we all want to stay, but they're not going to have all the money in the world to do it because the offense is so expensive.
Yeah, I agree, and I think your top 3 would be Blankenship, Dean, Phillips.
Yeah.
I'm afraid Phillips is going to be expensive, like maybe too expensive for the Eagles, just because the open market for a 26-year-old defensive end,
Yeah.
is got to be it's astronomical.
Yep. In his prime. He's in his prime.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there, but he should be on that list too. I definitely agree. I can't see Goddard coming back. I hope he does, but that almost feels like had a good year, but he's not. He never reached that elite status. And there's so many good tight ends that come out of the draft every single year. Maybe take one in the first round and get, and kind of supplant some more energy into that position, because he's been here a long time, and he'd probably be at the bottom of my list of the 6 that we talked about: Blankenship, Dean. Yeah. Braden Mann's probably more important at this point. I think he doesn't want to come back. Yeah,
he was important in terms of field position this year in a lot of games.
Well, considering our offense couldn't score in the second half for 19 weeks, then that's
absolutely
a good punter. Yeah.
Look, we weren't going to really get into it, but really quick, and before we get to, who we think is going to make it to the Super Bowl here, I think the Eagles keep A.J. Brown. I think you have to. He is a generational talent, and you just don't get rid of generational talents. Start mending fences. Start creating a better relationship, atmosphere, and environment. Season is done. I hope it has started already, but you got to keep A.J. Brown. I mean, you just can't go into next year as wonderful and as much as I love Devontae Smith. And yes, I do believe he could be a number 1 receiver. You have to have number 1 receiver A, number 1 receiver B. And I think that's how it's got to be to get this offense back on track. Keep A.J. Brown, in my opinion.
First of all, he has no leverage. He can.
That's a great point.
He can whine.
Yeah.
That's one reason to keep him. And also, like, don't even start in with the trade rumor stuff, because it's, my God, like, he's already a moody person apparently.
Right.
How much? But I'll put this to you: how much of that though was his relationship with the offensive coordinator, who basically crushed his career in one season?
Yeah. I mean, at least the first 5-6 games of the season where he was seriously, I'm trying to go back and think how many yards he had. I think A.J. Brown had something like, I know the first 2 games complete, he had 30 something yards. And I think he only may have had 60 something yards after the first 4 games of the season. It's incredible.
I know.
It's ridiculous. I just, you got to keep A.J. Brown, mend those fences. I think that's what needs to happen. So really quick before we get to first break here too, Super Bowl prediction, buddy. Len and I last week, it was fun. We went through our division predictions. We mentioned your division predictions as well. We got a lot right. We got some wrong here and there, but I think a fantastic Super Bowl, quite frankly, would be the Denver Broncos against the Los Angeles Rams. And I think that's what it's going to end up being here as we're recording this mid January, in the midst of, we're going to be watching the divisional round of the playoffs this weekend. I don't know. What do you think it's going to be? I'm thinking Broncos, Rams.
The way things are lining up, I'm actually thinking Bills, Seahawks.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Just because
we're completely on different planes here. That's awesome.
I don't know. I forget what podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about the potential defensive lines the Seahawks would have to face, because your scariest thing is Darnold, right?
Yeah.
Just turning into a pumpkin, becoming Sam Darnold, basically. But if he's facing really weak defensive lines, I just feel and they don't have to leave home once.
Yeah.
It kind of gives them the did the Rams overly impress you?
At times during the season, at times that Stafford to Devontae Adams, the Stafford to Puka Nacua. I mean, Puka Nacua can basically catch anything at this point. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, but just defensively, nothing didn't stand out.
Defensively, no, exactly.
Yeah,
defensively, no. My hesitation with the Bills, and you and I believe we both picked the Bills initially with our season predictions to go to the Super Bowl. My hesitation with the Bills at this point is so much is on Josh Allen's shoulders. So much is on his shoulders, even James Cook to a certain extent, that I don't think those 2 guys can get it done alone from an offensive perspective. I just don't think they can get it done alone. The receiving core stinks for the Bills, and they just don't have answers when they are in crunch time other than Josh Allen trying to scramble for 30 yards. And I just don't know in the playoffs if that's going to be feasible for them to get to the Super Bowl. That's where I'm at with them. I hope it happens. I think it'd be great for Buffalo in general because they've been waiting so long, and the window is here now. But I just don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off.
If you were in Buffalo, they would smack you in the face.
Absolutely.
For saying anything about Josh Allen.
Yes,
So you can do anything, Jeff.
Yes.
Listen, I've been up there multiple times the past few years, and like there's cardboard cutouts of the man in people's yards.
Yes.
In the summertime. Like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a break here, okay, folks? And when we come back, got a ton of Sixers talk coming your way. We're going to dive into the Flyers as well and some Phillies talk. Stick with us. We'll be back in just a bit. All right, we are back, and we're going to be diving into the Philadelphia 76ers right now because this past week on our Opposition Territory podcast, our friend of the show was on, Josh Rodriguez from the Dime NBA podcast, and he was so genuine, Eric, in what he was saying that he could actually see the Sixers going to the Eastern Conference Finals this year if they stay healthy. And because of how Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and even Quentin Grimes have actually been playing, Embiid too, how he has been getting back into the fold, and that they have each piece of the offense. Nick Nurse has each piece of the offense that he needs from a pure offensive construction standpoint to actually be very, very competitive in the East. And he was convinced. He's like, it would not surprise me at all if the Sixers actually got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they're healthy, he said, they can probably win the Eastern Conference. And I was like, whoa. I was like, I'm like, Josh, and Josh knows his stuff. He knows his stuff big time. So I don't know. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. You're the basketball guy on this podcast, and you are so in tune to what this Sixers team is, what they are not, and just what the possibilities of this could be. Because I was thinking about it more, and I listened to the show, and I was like, man, Josh has really got some, he's really, I don't know, maybe it was the hope that I had, but I was like, maybe he does have something here. I don't know. What are you thinking about this?
That is a sizzling hot take from Josh Rodriguez. But I can see it.
Fan. He is a Knicks fan, true and true.
Yeah.
And like, he was just like, the Sixers team, they've got something special going on here. Not tonight against the Cavs, but still. And
you see, like, and why I really hesitate to go in, Josh's direction there, is because when they have all their starters together, Max, like tonight, Maxey, Edgecombe, I think I forget who else, Embiid and George, and what's his name? I can't.
Was it Grimes?
Not Grimes. Whatever. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
But they're playing a Cavs team that's been a little shaky in the past few weeks, and just tons of injuries. Like you said, like feels like a weird vibe.
Yeah.
For that really good team. And they lost by almost 25 points.
Yeah.
And they do this too much. Like there's been certain games where they've just let teams back in. They should have swept the Raptors. But it's the inconsistency for me right now. If I could see, a couple like string like 6-7 wins in a row, like before the All-Star break or right after, I might start to get a little more on board. At the same time, the East is weaker, but a team like the Cavs can beat you by 25 points. The Raptors kind of own them this year. So the teams above them, it'd be really difficult to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, basically. What I'm saying. Yeah.
Josh wasn't too, honestly, he was not too keen on the Pistons, really being able, he goes, it wouldn't surprise me if the Pistons are out in the first round of the playoffs. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting.
That'd be tough. I mean, they'd have to have some injuries or something like that. I actually think the Knicks are probably the favorite to get to the finals. Yeah, definitely Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, he was saying high ceiling, a very high ceiling for the Knicks at this point, but a very low floor. He's like, I'm just being realistic with you. He said a very, very low floor for this team, just because they are. The Knicks are so aggressive. They are so physical, but they have their inconsistencies from an offensive perspective.
Yeah.
We've been seeing that time and time again, game after game this year as well.
And that's where you have a shred of hope the Sixers could actually get there to the ECF
Yeah.
because then, because these teams are kind of like Boston's number 3, and I know they beat us twice this year, but like they're a 3rd seed.
Yeah.
I'm not like if you take Jaylen Brown out of a game defensively, like then who the hell's scoring? Like,
right.
There's just so many teams that this is not like the Western Conference is going to kill whoever they play in the finals probably.
Yeah.
Because just have there's top 5 is just ridiculous. The East is so weak. You just wish this team would like start to like beat the teams that are right around them at the 4, 5, and 6, playoff spot.
Yeah.
But they keep having games like tonight, which really like bring me. I'll go up to here for a little bit, then I'll be like, oh, dude,
yeah.
DeAndre Hunter just hit another 3-pointer.
Like,
yeah. So,
dude, Joel Embiid, the guy just pulls me in. The guy just pulls me in. He's was he averaging like close to 27 points per game over the last 8 games or so?
Mm-hmm.
Like close to 8 rebounds per game as well. And like the guy just pulls me in. And I think to myself, are we not going to truly like appreciate him until he's gone? You know what I mean? I'm in that mode right now. You're in mid-January. The guy's just pulling me in, dude. He's really just doing it. And it's, I want to slap myself in the face, just be like, ah.
Listen, it's really nice to see because he's been here so long and he did come into the season like, is this guy even going to play? I think I've said on the show multiple, he's done, he's cooked.
Yeah.
He can never do this again. It's awesome. We should probably have like an entire segment on it soon.
Yeah.
Before it ends. But it's, and he's actually been like, we've needed him to win some of these games, which we did not need him at all for like the first 15, 20 games. So
it's a testament to Nick Nurse too, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Say what you want about Nick Nurse, folks. And there have been ups and downs with him, but I think where the Sixers team is at right now, they are one of the top teams in the East. Say what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I give him a ton of credit because boy, we were crapping on him last year, rightfully so at times. And of course there was a slew of injuries and what the hell was he going to do in this spot, that spot? But I give him all the credit in the world for what he's done with this team this year.
I thought he was done too. Just like Embiid.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's move on here, buddy. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Phillies here because the Phillies met with Bo Bichette this week, and it seems like it's a real possibility that this could actually happen. I mean, he's not going to take a meeting with the Phillies front office if he's really not interested. He's not going to do that. If the Phillies do end up acquiring him, we basically know as Phillies fans that JT Realmuto is almost certainly not coming back. Alec Boehm almost certainly not coming back as well. Probably trade for him. Is this what we want, though? Like, is this what we want as fans of this team? I do think changes need to be made. We've seen some acquisitions this offseason, Eric, but I hate to lose JT Realmuto. I was talking to Liz Rocher from the Hittin' Season podcast on the Table Talk show this week, and I said that, we've been so spoiled with the catcher position over the years, going back to Carlos Ruiz. And yes, there was a time from the end of Ruiz's career in Philly to when Realmuto was acquired by from the Marlins. There was a time when the catcher position was just not great. But I think we've gotten spoiled with it so much that if we are left with Rafael Marchand or Garrett Stubbs as a starting catcher, not good. Not good, folks, at all. I'm going to miss JT Realmuto if he is not on this team. And I wonder if Bo Bichette would be, I don't know, a suitable replacement in various ways. Of course, in the batting order, yes, he absolutely would. But what Realmuto is in the clubhouse, the team leader that he is, I don't know. I just have this hesitation. I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
Well, you read the alternatives, and we even talked about them before the show.
Yeah.
I think my reaction was like, ugh, and then, ugh. Like,
yeah, not
worse.
good.
Like,
not good at all.
No. And I don't know if we said yet that Ranger Suarez signed with the Red Sox today.
Yes.
So.
Oh, that's right. Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, I wish him all the best in the world. He got paid, what was it, $130 million?
Yeah, for like 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad. Not bad. I wish him all the best. I'm glad it wasn't the Mets, dude. Really.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Been terrible.
The Astros would have ticked me off too because they got the Japanese pitcher and they would have, so.
Yep.
But I bring up him signing with the Red Sox because I'm like, at this point, like, why not just bring back Bo Bichette or sign if signing Bo Bichette now is like the top priority, right? Because Suarez is gone. Where's that? Where are you going to put that money elsewhere? Get Bichette and then take Suarez's money, whatever you might have paid him, and just bring back JT.
Yeah.
For like you said, for in the clubhouse catching his bat, it's gonna precipitously drop over the next couple of years. But you just read about it, or just said all the positives about him.
Yeah.
But at that point, why not bring him back and they get Bichette, and then cross your fingers for the pitching. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, before I let you go, buddy, again, we started the show off talking about your new love, your new obsession with the Philadelphia Flyers, and we received some listener feedback from our good friend down south, April Hershey, and she wrote, "I got a question for Eric with the good hair. How do you handle your newfound love of the Flyers with these PST start time or Pacific Standard Time start times with games? How are you handling this here? How are you handling this, Eric? Because boy, you really got thrown into this. And now, I mean, my God, you have a hoodie on where you've got Gritty on the front of it. For God's sake, there's a Flyers pillow behind you. If you're watching on YouTube, folks, you can see it right there. My gosh, you've done a 180.
Got a Flyers flag over here.
Yes.
You do anything for your kids, Jeff?
There you go. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Yeah. He got into it pretty heavy with the Hershey Bears here locally. Then it branched out to Flyers, and so I'm all about it. I watched tonight's game. It was dreadful. To answer your question, April, thanks again for reaching out. The PST games you talk about, if we're doing the show, I have a humongous TV here on the wall now. My son and I decided to make a man cave space down here, which explains all this here. So if I'm down here for the show, I can actually watch the game. So that works out well. But the opposite when it's a 10 o'clock starting game.
Yeah. They're playing Seattle or something.
Yeah. And I'm turning 50 this year. I'm probably going to check the highlights the next morning. Yeah. So I and the Sixers are my team, right? I won't even stay up for a Portland game.
Right.
I just, the box scores and highlights are so great now. I don't have to watch the game, but it's hard. Yes.
I got to be honest, you are coming into this at the right time. The Flyers have been just fun to watch. They're in the middle of not even a middle necessarily. I mean, we're coming up to the tail end of this rebuild. I mean, you're in a good spot here, with brand new coach Rick Tocchet, who we're going to get into with our friend Ryan Gilbert in a little bit here. Just being able to watch Trevor Zegras and Travis Konechny, them posting a lot of really strong assist totals here and doing some good stuff in terms of scoring. Getting to see Matvei Michkov. You're going to see his development now over the years. It's been a quote disappointing season for him based on, I think, some unrealistic expectations from the fan base. But you've gotten into this, dude, from a timing standpoint. You really hit on it. You really did.
Well, and you guys would try and get me back into it, Flyers wise, and when the seasons were bad, there was much direction going on.
Yeah,
I would try to tune in for a game or two. I'm like,
the old Chuck Fletcher years. Yeah,
I'm not watching this. What?
Yes,
but yeah, you're right. I'm a bandwagon jumper. Sure, I'm not like the millions of Flyers fans would care.
Right.
But yeah, I picked a great time to do this because, man, really good, fun young players, even with a couple of veterans kind of sprinkled in. It does feel like there's definitely more of a culture, that kind of thing. You talked about it earlier
with Rick Tocchet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels like a thing, kind of, it's moving in the same direction. Whereas it's been a disaster and really hard to get into. If you're just kind of a sideline fan. Yeah.
Look, there are times when Rick Tocchet, what he's having his players do on the ice isn't necessarily the most exciting offensive hockey in the world, but it's still extremely interesting to watch game after game. seeing what the pairings are going to be, and just, I mean, defensively, this team is absolutely surprising everybody. I mean, they are doing some really good stuff. We're going to get into it a little bit again with Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com, but man, you got into it at a good time. So I'm gonna let you go, buddy. You got anything else before we head out here?
No, like I said, I'll be 50 this year, and it's 11 o'clock at night.
All right, there you go. There you go. And really quick, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, you can like and subscribe to the Philadelphia Sports Table podcast show here. Share our podcast with your friends and family who are Philly sports fans in general. We'd love to have more listeners for sure, and more subscribers as well. Boy, I got to tell you, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough being over here on YouTube after a little while. Look, it's a slow build. So we need your help, folks. We need your help. We're doing well on the audio side of things for sure, but man, tell you, YouTube, I gotta figure out the algorithm here.
Vince, my son watches.
I appreciate that.
Every show. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Not for nothing, I had a political meeting today with somebody, and they were like, I listened to it. He's like, I'm like, are you serious? I go, are you serious? He's like, yeah, I can't listen to WIP. He's like, I can't do it. He's like, you guys are my go-to for Philly sports. And I was like, can I hug you? Said that to him.
Want to give us $1,000?
Yeah. You want to give me money? All right, folks, we're going to head out. And when we come back from break, I'm going to be talking to Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com. We're going to be talking a ton more Flyers and what their season is looking like and what we can expect from them in the future. Take care, and we'll be back in just a bit. All right, let's get into some Philadelphia Flyers talk here with our guest this week to talk about this team. It's been really fun to watch this team in general. Yes, I mean, we've certainly seen some games that haven't been good, and especially in recent days from this Philadelphia Flyers team. But overall, this season, I have been enjoying it from an overall perspective. But to dive into it with us from BroadStreetHockey.com, we love having him on and have for some time. Mr. Ryan Gilbert, my friend, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this week.
No, thanks for having me on. I always love coming on and talking with you, Jeff. We always go a little bit off the path, but still on topic. It's always a great conversation with you. So when you reached out to have me on, of course I had to come back on.
I appreciate it. I do, because, the one thing about this Flyers team that never disappoints is that there's always storylines going on. There's frustrating aspects of this team. There are fun aspects of this team, interesting aspects of this team. And I think we're seeing a lot of interesting things going on this particular season. But I wanted to start the conversation off with you, Ryan, talking about one gentleman in particular, because it's his first year as the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, and that's Rick Tocchet. And I want to talk about what type of coach he has actually been here as we are heading into mid-January. I am grateful, and I've said many times this season thus far, that John Tortorella is no longer the head coach of this team. But when it comes to Rick Tocchet, there have certainly been some ups and downs for sure since the season started. And we're going to kind of get into that a little bit more in the conversation as well. But I'm wondering, I guess, from a general overall perspective, what are your thoughts about his approach? His approach to how he coaches, decisions, in-game decisions that he is making, how it has affected a team, both from a positive and negative standpoint. What are your thoughts here when it comes to Rick Tocchet?
Yeah, overall, I have gone back and forth on him. Like, I wasn't sure at first, then he had the opening press conference. He sounded great. And that's one of the main things is that, like, it's refreshing to hear him talk. Like, even in like the press conferences, like, you're not getting an exasperated John Tortorella.
Right.
You're getting Rick Tocchet out there who's,
Right.
he's like, he talks calmly. He's like, we got to be better. We had some good plays. And one of the most important things is he's not healthy scratching young players. Of course, we're talking right now on Wednesday, right before Denver Barkey got a healthy scratch. But I thought Denver Barkey, he's slowed down the past few games.
He has.
Michkov has only missed the one game due to injury. He is very upfront about things. He's very transparent. And he's not going to call out players in the media. You can kind of read between the lines and see like some players need to pick it up. But it's been refreshing to have him there. And his systems can be boring at times, or they're not very high octane offenses.
Right.
And you can disagree with the Flyers' plan, but he was brought in to bring this team to the next level and start winning games.
And I think Yeah, I was going to say, and I think to provide a certain level of stability within the locker room and from a pure coach to player relationship type of thing, I think that stability has been a really important part of this I'm sorry, I almost said John Tortorella, Jesus, this Rick Tocchet narrative that we really didn't see with John Tortorella here.
Yeah, you can tell he's well liked. You can tell why he's well liked,
Yeah.
and he's respected around the league. Like Sidney Crosby speaks highly of him. He was a Phil Kessel whisperer in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Like people like him, and it's easy to see why. It's easy to like him. It's easy to dislike him when he's possibly not doing what you want him to do with your young players. But
Right.
overall, he was brought in to make this team competitive, and right now they're in a playoff spot. They've been around
Yeah.
a playoff spot for a while, and if they can get things back on track, I don't see why they're not one of the top 3 teams in the division. And Rick Tocchet has a lot to do with that because, yeah, they do have stability. They have a guy in the room that they know is going to be here. They know is in lockstep with them and with the front office.
Absolutely. And I think as this season moves along here, and when we look at Ryan, the 5-on-5 play evolution this season with this Flyers team, early season analytics really shows us a lot of defensive improvements for sure. We've talked about that on this podcast platform as well. And hell, I mean, even those improvements, we've continued to see them with our own eyes. It's not just the analytics that are showing us that. I mean, we've seen better penalty kills as well this season, which has been great, but we're still seeing from time to time offensive generation that still lags. And like you mentioned, with Rick Tocchet and his system, not the most high octane type of system that we're seeing from an offensive standpoint. So I'm wondering, what should all of this be telling us about this team's identity at this point in the season here?
Yeah, this team's identity here with Rick Tocchet is basically like, do you want fun hockey or do you want to win hockey games? And like you can't you can rarely have both unless you have
That's a
Nathan
great point.
McKinnon or Nikita Kucherov. Like, and the Flyers are I almost said Rick Tortorella, Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet
Yes.
is trying to win hockey games, and
Yeah.
that's coming at the effect of you're having less offense. They're building the defense first, as you said. We're seeing that, and they have an offense that they can grind it out. They can cycle and draw penalties, and that's one of the main issues. Is the power play is
Yeah.
once again one of the worst in the league. Like if
Yeah.
this team is drawing penalties, they're just not converting on them. If
Yeah.
the power play was once again league average power play, this team is a lot better. A lot of these players have more points. We're less upset with the lack of scoring. But right now, there's really not a lot of offense, even off the rush. Like Dvorak scored off the rush the other night, but there's not a lot of excitement in the game. But that comes at this team learning, these players taking a step forward, learning their overall rounded game. Because you see players like Clayton Keller
Yeah.
in Utah. He's like,
Yeah.
I wasn't great under Tocchet, but I'm a better player now for that. So getting that here now, it's frustrating to see a lack of offense, but
Yeah.
hopefully that comes through for a handful of these players. And Tyson Forster, I think, is a big loss for this team. Like,
Yes.
he
Absolutely.
is incredibly undervalued. He's one of the best wingers on this team, especially when driving play. So this is a team where if you miss 1, 2, or 3 players, they don't have the depth ready yet to fill them in. So that's kind of been, I think Forster's absence has been huge in that aspect as well.
Absolutely. Look, the Flyers power play has been consistently bad, and it's not just we're at a point here, Ryan, where it's not just bad luck. It's a mix of structural issues. It appears, personnel mismatches, predictable habits, I think as well, that really compound each other. I mean, a good power play starts before setup, and the Flyers really struggle there as well. And I just don't know what it's going to take for this team to get out of that consistently bad power play. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
It's been years. It's been a decade. It's been decades.
Yes.
It's the same thing over and over. And they're, like you said, you don't know where to start. Like, do you start with they can't get it set up? They can't enter the zone. The slingshot pass. I'm sick of it. The units, they're not keeping them together, and I don't think they have the right players on the units together.
Yeah, right.
I want Michkov and Zegras together on that top unit.
Yep.
Let them figure it out. Let them cook there. Get your 5 best players on the top unit and let them run out there for a minute and a half, and have the second unit be a true second unit and see if you can make something happen there. But we fired Rocky Thompson. That didn't fix things. You got to get at least 3 or 4 guys consistently on that same unit to gain some chemistry. And
Yeah.
it hasn't looked good. It hasn't been good. And they don't really look like they have a plan out there, which is
That's concerning.
that's the problem. That's
Yes.
the problem. Like sometimes they look better, they have some chances, but I think the other game against Tampa, they didn't have a shot on goal on their first 2 power plays. And that's just you don't want them shooting just to shoot, but that is very telling.
Exactly. It absolutely is. Look, you mentioned one particular player on this team, and we got to get into him, Matvei Michkov. And man, this is a player with so much promise, so much potential, as we all know. And he has just 1 goal since the beginning of December, and it was a freaking empty netter. And I would just love to hear your thoughts on how this very young and talented hockey player, the guy who's really supposed to take this Flyers team to the next level offensively, and within this rebuild here, how he's kind of just languished this season away in a variety of ways here. And part of that's Rick Tocchet as well. We know the ice time for a significant length of time was 12 minutes or so. And now just recently getting up to about maybe 16 minutes per game. But like, what are your thoughts here on Matvei Michkov and his overall season thus far? Should we be concerned too?
Yeah, but like you said, he is young. He's finally 20 years old now, and he wasn't even supposed to be over here yet until after next season, I think. So he's making the transition to a new style of hockey, a smaller rink, the language difference, the cultural difference, culture shock here.
Yeah.
And all young players go through sophomore slumps. Like even Connor Bedard, who is generational, had a worse sophomore year than a rookie year. You're not seeing that with Celebrini. He's a special case there in San Jose. And like you said, Tocchet is a little bit to blame for it, but I do think some of the discourse around Michkov is just getting toxic out there, because Michkov has done this to himself too. He no longer leads the Flyers in penalty minutes because Konechny had that 10-minute misconduct, but he has 38 penalty minutes. And I think that's 19 minors. I don't think he's taken a major yet this season, but it's always lazy penalties. And if you're not making the right play, you're not going to play in the important moments. And at the same time, you do want to see him get less of a leash. You want to see him, let him do what he can do. But he even admitted it, like he didn't have good conditioning over the summer. He came into camp, kind of not ready to play. And that's on him. And it's also on the team for making sure that he's doing the right things in the offseason. So I think with Michkov, we give it a month. We give the Olympic break, see how he comes back from those 3 weeks off. And if it's late March and he's still looking like this, maybe you can start to panic, but like panic is the wrong word, because he's 20 years old. It's his second year. He doesn't have consistent line mates. He'll be fine. Matvei Michkov is going to be an all-star. He will be fine.
Thank you for saying that. My heart is now not beating as fast, of course. Really, it's something where there is a certain sector of Flyers Nation that really does need to calm down with him. And I specifically asked you that question about Michkov because of that. There are certain sectors of this Flyers community that listen to this podcast, and I just want folks to know. You said, he's 20 years old, for God's sake. Let him continue to develop.
He's the storyline this season. The Flyers are winning. Zegras has been great. Oh, what's Michkov doing? Like, no one cares what's happening with the team. It's just all on him. It's just all on him.
Right. Well, folks, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we got a lot more Flyers talk. But Ryan, aside from BroadStreetHockey.com, where can folks find you out there on the interwebs?
You can find me on Twitter at rgilbertsop. I am on Blue Sky at ryangilbert.bsky.social. And if you're into betting hockey, you can check out the Hockey Gambling Podcast. I record that a few times a week.
Awesome. All right, folks, we're going to take another break real quick. But when we come back, we're going to have more Flyers talk coming your way. Stick with us. All right, we are back. And again, we are with Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com. Does a lot of great podcasting out there himself. Feel free to follow him on the socials out there, and definitely give him some love online. Let's talk now about the fact that Trevor Zegras, Travis Konechny are posting some very strong assist totals here this season, Ryan, but the scoring depth behind them remains somewhat of an open question, I think, at this point. How are you seeing the Flyers attack stacking up in high leverage scoring zones, and what adjustments are you seeing them make to maybe redistribute scoring responsibility in critical situations?
It's really tough. When I was going over the topics for the show, this is the one I struggled with the most.
Okay. Sorry
there-
about that.
No, it's a great question. That's why it's a great question. Like, there's no clear answer. Like,
Yeah.
Konechny and Zegras have been great. That line with Dvorak has been one of their best lines since being put together. But like I said, Forster's not there to play with Cates and Brink. Brink has missed some time now as well. Tippett, we know, is very inconsistent. He's been good. That line with Couturier and Barkey has been fantastic at drive and play,
Yeah.
but they haven't been able to score. I don't know if it's bad luck. I don't know if it's just the system. I don't know how they're attacking to try to stack up against those high scoring teams.
Yeah.
Like, you saw it against Tampa Bay. Rick Tocchet talked about it after the first game. He was like, yeah, we grinded the game down. We slowed it down. But if you give Tampa chances, they're going to convert. And we didn't convert on ours. So it's just a matter of waiting it out, grinding out those shifts, getting the power play going. And that's what you're going to do. Win those 3-2 games. That's how this team is going to win hockey games. It's not going to be a 5-4 win. It's going to be, because when this team scores 3 goals, I think they're almost undefeated this season. So
are they at this point? I didn't even know that. Okay.
I don't know if they're actually
close.
undefeated.
Close
it's close
to
to
it.
being they have 2 or 3 losses here. I'm looking.
Okay.
And 2 of them were in overtime when they score 3 goals. So when they score 4 goals, they're going to win. Like, it's just getting that 4 goals. It's getting that 3 goals.
Yeah.
And there's no good answer on where to find it. You gotta get Michkov going somehow. Maybe if you have an offensive zone draw, put out Zegras, Michkov, and Konechny as some sort of offensive line there. But yeah, it's not an easy answer, and that's because Tocchet is coaching a defensive style. That's kind of how they're playing by design right now. But next year, you get Forster healthy, you get Porter Martone in here, who I am really excited about. I feel like next year, if they're not scoring as much, then it's more of an issue.
Yeah. And look, in the world of sports, as those of us who follow, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, soccer, whatever, we follow it closely. Hindsight is 2020 all the time. And we always love doing the Monday morning quarterback type of stuff. But I'm wondering, and I think this is an interesting topic for us to dive into now, that if you could change one strategic decision from early this season that has adversely affected this team here in mid-January, whether it's from a lineup perspective, deployment, a system perspective here, what would that one change be and why, Ryan?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a broken record here, but it's just like putting Michkov on the same line with at least one player. Like Tocchet preaches having these duos playing together. And in training camp, it looked like it was going to be Zegras and Michkov with a center. And I would love to see that. Michkov has played very well with Sean Couturier. Michkov slows the game down. Sean Couturier is a bit slower now after his injuries. So I like he's back together tonight on Wednesday night in Buffalo, Michkov with Couturier. But it's not fully focusing. You still have to focus on winning games, but at the same time, put Michkov in a position to succeed. Put him with 2 line mates that can keep up with him offensively. And Couturier can do that. He's a smart player. And then maybe like a Tippett type to bring the speed, or a Konechny. We saw that together. Or Brink even. I feel like it could be a small line, but he's a good guy along the boards. I think it's getting Michkov consistent line mates at 5-on-5. And more importantly, Michkov and Zegras should always be together on the power play.
Absolutely.
I know people say that they're kind of do the same thing, but I feel like you can work together. Like, you don't see McDavid and Draisaitl on different units. You don't see other star players on different units. And Michkov's not a star yet, but he has the high-end skill to be that. And the power play is where you have to have your best skilled players together.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about something positive when it comes to this Flyers team. And there's a lot to talk about in terms of the positivity and the hope that we have that this team is going to continue to build upon this foundation that they're laying right now to inevitably get to something special. So as we close things out here, I'm wondering what gives you hope and positivity when it comes to this rebuild with this team right now as we look towards the remainder of the season here? What's that one thing that's really giving you that hope and positivity?
I mean, there's a few things here. It's that the Flyers are in as good of a spot as they are without Michkov playing well. Like we're all talking about how Michkov's an issue, and they're still in a playoff spot. They're still, around
Right.
50% to make the playoffs at
Yep.
public models out there. Like this is a low point for Michkov. It has to be. Like he's not going to let himself over the Olympic break, especially over the summer, have a bad summer where he's not working out and making sure he's ready for the season. So you got Michkov, you got Porter Martone. He should be turning pro at the end of his college season in early April. And you have Danny Briere showing yet again, he got Zegras. He got Vladar. What a signing that was.
Yes.
He got Dvorak.
Yeah.
That was a good find there as well. Even guys like Carl Grunstrom, he got for nothing, came out of nowhere, scored 7 goals.
Right.
Like this team is still heading in the right direction, and hopefully they make the playoffs. I do think they make the playoffs, and depending on the matchup, depending how this season finishes out, I don't think it's too crazy to think they might win a round. And Dan Vladar could steal
Yes.
steal a playoff round.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Would love to see that. Seriously, we need some Flyers playoff hockey.
We do.
Very much so. Again, folks, Ryan Gilbert from BroadStreetHockey.com. Again, let folks know where they can also follow you out there again before we let you go, Ryan.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at rgilbertsop and on Blue Sky at ryangilbert.bluesky.social. Got all my links and stuff on there. Jeff, once again, thanks for having me on here. Always a blast to talk with you.
But it's great to talk with you, folks. We are going to be heading out here. And again, Ryan, thanks so much. I'd love to have you on down the road, my friend.
Yes, sir.